The movie opens with a scene in a high school where the senior students are busy taking pictures for their yearbook, as they take turns sharing their memorable experiences and wild adventures during their high school years. A student named Matthew finds himself struggling to come up with anything noteworthy to share. He had spent his time in high school as an average student without any girlfriend or daring escapades to speak of. He reflects on the pride he felt when he received a scholarship acceptance letter from Georgetown University and how his parents were overjoyed. Matthew, who is the student council president, then makes an announcement that he plans to raise $25,000 to bring a talented student named Saming from Cambodia to study at Westport. As he looks around at the popular seniors who seem to effortlessly skip class and have fun with their girlfriends, he can't help but wonder what it would be like to live such a carefree life. Matthew expresses his desire to join the popular seniors in skipping class and hitting the beach to his friends Klitz and Eli, but they back out, leaving him to go alone. As he tries to catch up with the seniors in his car, a police officer pursues him, instructing him to pull over. But Matthew disregards the officer's commands and contemplates engaging in some reckless behavior. However, his fantasy comes to a halt when the officer's car crashes in a terrible accident. But it turns out that Matthew hasn't moved his car at all. Later, after school, Matthew arrives home and spots an unfamiliar car parked outside. Upon entering his house, he discovers Mr. and Mrs. Peterson sitting with his parents, who inform him about the scholarship for Georgetown. They reveal that the scholarship will be awarded to the student who exemplifies the best moral character, motivating Matthew to work harder on his speech. That night, while taking out the trash, Matthew sees a stunning girl getting out of the same car he noticed earlier. He becomes captivated by her and accidentally hits the trash can while staring at her. Later, he discusses the girl with Eli on the phone, describing her as incredibly attractive. Suddenly, he spots the same girl through his window, hanging her clothes in her room. As the girl, Danielle, removes her underwear, Matthew hangs up the phone and continues to stare at her. Unfortunately, she catches him peeping and immediately reports the incident to his parents. In response, his mother introduces Danielle to Matthew and explains that she is house-sitting for her aunt next door. Matthew's mother then asks him to show Danielle around. During their drive, Danielle remains silent and pulls over at a remote location. She forces Matthew to strip down to his underwear and takes his underwear as revenge for peeping on her. After driving away, she eventually returns and picks him up, and they proceed to share their stories over dinner at a diner. Danielle tells Matthew about her decision to quit her job and start anew. When she asks if he has a girlfriend, he reveals that he is single and has not done anything wild or adventurous recently. Danielle advises Matthew to find someone who makes him laugh and motivates him to strive for more. She even sketches a drawing of herself as an example. Later, she drops him off at his house, expecting a kiss, but he hesitates and leaves without one. The next day, Matthew shares the events of the previous night with his friends, and Eli mocks him for not having sealed the deal with Danielle. Matthew realizes his mistake and decides to spend more time with her, skipping classes to be with her. One day, Matthew showed Danielle a picture of Sandlin and said he was a genius who might cure cancer in the future. She realizes how kind Matthew is, and she drives him to an anonymous house and breaks him first. As he followed her, he saw her take off her clothes and dip into the pool. Matthew joins her, and she asks him what's the craziest thing he's done lately. When she smiled, he said it was here. Just as they were about to kiss, the owner of the house appeared. It turned out to be Matthew's principal. So they all run away, and the principal notices that they are running away. They then went to Eli's house, where Matthew introduced his friend to Danielle. She surprised his friends with how hot she was. The next night, the group goes to a party hosted by a popular student named Derek. All the students were stunned and stared at Danielle. When Derek's friend Hunter sees Matthew and Danielle together, he asks Derek to kick Matthew out of the party, telling him the party is full. But Matthew is tired of playing the nice guy, and when he sees boys making out with girls at a party, he walks up to Danielle and kisses her passionately where everyone can see. At school the next day, Eli shows Matthew a pornographic video. To Matthew's surprise, he saw his girlfriend star in that video. Matthew was jealous and angry at the way the actor touched her body. As he leaves the room, Eli catches up to him and tells him that since she's a porn star, he should take her to a motel and fuck her. When Matthew came home, he saw Danielle sitting with his mother. He imagined her having an orgasm while speaking normally. Even when his dad came, Matthew would picture her unbuttoning his dad's pants and blowing on him. And then he'd picture her making out with his Emile. He pulled himself together and went to his room. She followed him, asking him what she can do to make him feel better. He looked at the bed, imagining her making love to him. He reacted suddenly and told her they were going out tonight. In the evening, Matthew takes Danielle to a cheap motel and gets her drunk with a bottle of wine. She realizes that Matthew has discovered that she is a porn star. Danielle took off her clothes and asked him, "Is this what you want?" Then Danielle got mad and told him she didn't tell him about her past because she liked the way he looked at her like a normal person, and she left him and went home. Days passed and Matthew couldn't get over it. One day, he went to Danielle to apologize, but when he entered her house, he saw a strange man. So he goes out. The man also went outside to tell him that he appreciated the way Matthew showed his love for Danielle. He then introduced himself as Kelly. The three of them went to a strip club, but Matthew didn't know it. As they sat at a table to order drinks, Matthew asked how they met and learned that Kelly was a porn director who worked with Danielle. When Kelly lights up a cigar, Matthew asks him to share it. Kelly tells Matthew about a man named Mr. Peterson who works at a strip club. Matthew is surprised to see Mr. Peterson there and tells Kelly about it. But Kelly calls Peterson and makes him buy Matthew a lap dance. Later, at school, the teacher plays a sex educational video for the students to raise their awareness of having sex without protection. Matthew and his friends don't like the video because they find it old-fashioned and the quality is too bad. After the class, Matthew sees Kelly at the school, talking with the senior girls. Then the group goes with Kelly and gets into his sports car. Kelly tells them about his idea of shooting a porn video at the prom, saying it will sell so hard. Later, Matthew goes with Kelly to the bank and speaks with Jeannie, the front desk employee. Kelly learns that Matthew raised 25 grand for Sam Nan. Jeannie asks Matthew who is the man with him. He introduces Kelly to her as his student advisor, and Kelly flirts with Jeannie, and she responds clumsily. Danielle is heartbroken and walks up the stage. On their way, she meets another porn director named Hugo. He tells her that she should be with him instead of Kelly, but Kelly intervenes and knocks Hugo out. Matthew also intervenes and tells Kelly that Danielle does not want to be here. But Kelly takes Matthew to the storage room and threatens him to stop filling Danielle's mind with these thoughts, which will ruin Kelly's business. But Matthew didn't give up and chased after Danielle, even though he was late and had the scholarship dinner tomorrow. When Klitz and Eli sit and wait for Matthew, a porn star asks him who they are. Eli lies, saying that he is a porn director, so the girl asks them to participate in their next movie. She tells her boyfriend, Emile, about it. So, Emile starts marketing to his girl. So Eli uses her in his next movie, and makes her feel his girlfriend's tits, saying it cost him too much. But security tells Emile that they are just high school students, and they laugh. So the children immediately run away. And Matthew went to Danielle and handed her a paper saying it was better than this and went home. The next day, Matthew practices speaking in his room and is surprised to see Danielle knocking on his door. She drives him to his school and thanks him for believing in her. He asks her to go to the party with him and she agrees. During class, Matthew continues to read his speech and suddenly Kelly appears in the class. Angry, he stormed in and took Matthew out to his car. They drive away on the highway. Kelly tells Matthew that Danielle didn't show up on the set because of him now that Kelly has lost 30 grandchildren and Matthew has to pay him back. When Matthew tells him he doesn't have that money, Kelly hits him hard. Kelly makes Matthew take a pill so he won't feel the pain. Kelly says he will leave Matthew and Danielle alone, but on one condition. Then he walks with Matthew and tells him about Hugo. How Hugo took the ideas of Kelly and her girls and made millions out of them. And the stipulation is to steal the Hugo prize that should have belonged to Kelly. They break into Hugo's house to steal the prize, but Kelly backs out and leaves Matthew alone. He also calls the police, reports it, and flees. Meanwhile, Matthew finds and steals the prize. But to his surprise, he sees Hugo there. Hugo orders his parrot to chase after Matthew. But Matthew manages to escape the situation, and Klitz calls, and he comes and takes Matthew for a ride. However, Matthew's behavior becomes peculiar when he repeatedly touches Klitz in a strange manner. On their way to the scholarship dinner, Danielle outfits Matthew in his suit, and she informs him that Kelly had given him ecstasy. Although Matthew initially panics, the drug eventually soothes him. Upon entering the dining hall, Matthew's heart races, and the drug has a profound effect on him. He touches everyone he encounters, smiles foolishly, and even kisses one of his competitors, causing Danielle to laugh. He then begins dancing for no apparent reason. During the speeches, Matthew giggles at other speeches and struggles to read his own due to the drugs. Instead, he improvises his speech, asserting that moral fiber entails finding someone you genuinely care for. He gazes at Danielle and finishes his statement, eliciting applause from the audience. The next day, Matthew visits Jeannie at the bank to withdraw and close his account, but learns that his advisor, Kelly, took the $25,000. Enraged, Matthew blames Jeannie for not verifying the advisor's identification or obtaining his consent. Jeannie responds defensively, warning him that he has until Monday to rectify the situation, or she will be fired or even prosecuted if the bank manager discovers it. Matthew hurries to Danielle's house and informs her of the situation. They devise a plan to extricate themselves from the predicament, and Matthew approaches Eli and Klitz to help him execute it. On prom day, Matthew and his team, including the pornographic crew, record everything. They persuade Danielle's porn-star friends, April and Ferrari, to accompany her to the prom, and the group attends together. As they enter the venue, Matthew recognizes Hunter and his friends, who are the actors he previously encountered. Matthew goes back to Danielle. They smile and dance together during the prom. Meanwhile, his team works in silence secretly, and Derek manages to join them. The head of the teachers finds the photo release paper and asks Matthew about it, but Matthew acts like he has no clue. Then the rest get into the room to start filming after the parents and principal view the video. They realize that it is an educational video on sex that is far superior to the school's current curriculum. Matthew is praised by both the parents and principal for his exceptional work. The video becomes popular and is in high demand, resulting in Matthew becoming wealthy. In his yearbook, Matthew expresses gratitude to his business partner Hugo and student advisor Kelly, to whom he sent a gift of cigars. Later on, Matthew meets Samnan, who urges him to find a cure for cancer. Eli, who directed the video professionally, now has his own educational seminars. Klitz, who concealed his face while filming, is said to have a large penis that boosts his self-confidence. With his newfound wealth, Matthew can afford to apply to Georgetown and is always accompanied by his neighbor,